Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming over and taking a listen to the Leon the Great podcast, episode 201. So, finally, it's about time to get a new episode going. It's been a while, I would say, since I've done my podcast. So, and also, if anyone is here, just definitely want to say thank you for listening on episode 201 on Leon the Great podcast. As always, your host, Leon, and I'm glad to be back with you podcasting again. I've been, a, it's been a moment since the last podcast, I would say episode 200, which that was the last one I was in. Now with new ideas that just popped up, and I wanted to talk to you guys again. But rest assured that I'll be coming back podcasting, even though the podcast will be seldom releases now with real life issues that have come about. And and I will say that if you want to find out more about what goes on, you guys can subscribe to me on the Substack, where I post pretty often on every week. Uh, uh, I would say two posts a week, twice a week, three times a week. Depends on how things go with my how active I go on to. But I will say that I am very active on Substack Notes, so you guys can check on me on the Substack app, so you guys can do that. So Substack, if you guys don't know what a Substack is, and I'm sure that some of you know what Substack is, some of you don't, and I'll be clear on what I am talking about. So Substack is basically like newsletters meets podcasting meets Twitter, and basically it's a publishing site where you get to follow up your favorite writers, your favorite journals, and whatsoever. And so, in that sense, that's also an awesome idea because I liked about following what my writers are doing, and also that website alone, Substack, is starting to pick up in popularity more and more. Like for example, Viz Media has a Substack, which I had no idea until I was going through Viz Media. Now, if you don't know what Viz Media is basically the media company that is behind Shonen Jump, which is a very popular weekly anime manga uh, manga company that releases like mangas like Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. But I go ahead and catch up with them pretty often, and I found out one day below their socials that Substack was part of that, and I decided to subscribe to Viz Media, which is cool. And then now you see popular authors just like Nick Hornby and James Patterson, which now they already have Substacks already, which is very very cool. The community is just growing in large amounts of from podcasters to writers and to media personalities. So you guys can go ahead and check out your favorite Substackers, I should call it, because now I'm one of those Substackers. Basically, I'm a podcaster with a Substack account. So you guys can go ahead and check me out, which is super, super awesome to see that community is growing slowly but surely, which I am no doubt that this is going to be a very popular thing within 5 years or under. It just depends on how fast it comes up to be. I do enjoy Substack. Substack is a great community, and I love the interactions with it. It's basically what they the way they describe Substack is it's basically like Twitter for intellectuals, which that's actually a very good a a very cool thing to say, because I like the part about Substack is that there's a lot of intellectual writing, a lot of people that are in. the writing space that are actually much more friendlier than Twitter. I should put it out too, and that's what I like about the community. And now with other social medias, I know many of them will come and go, and who knows how long it will last in a long span of time or a short span of time. Time can tell. Throughout, in the age of the internet, nobody will seem to know. But for me, I like where communities can grow together and come together in packs, which is awesome because I feel that there's so much toxicity on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, where you got so much of that going on, and you really have to stay away from a platform like that because it's not fun, but at the same time, uh, there's a lot of interaction going on Twitter. So there's always a use case with Twitter. For me, I don't post uh, all the time except if I remember during the time around 2008 when I had my old account with Twitter, and I've had that account for, I would say, for a long time. But now I have the new, fresh new account that's been created about over a year ago. I have to say that I don't miss the interaction with Twitter. I think there's just a lot of spammers and a lot of people that are trying to ask you for to see if you can get some work done for your artwork, and I don't know. It's kind of weird way Twitter is run, but regardless, I think there's been so much of that going on with that space, and Twitter. I'm glad that I never have thought about working for them. One time I did want to work with Twitter. It's funny enough, but now things have changed, and I'm glad that I don't work with them. But anyways, we're gonna get into the topic uh, very shortly onto the segment. Now, first and foremost, let's get on with today's sponsors. My first sponsor of today, it is gonna be Tribe Signs. Now, if you don't know what Tribe Signs is, so Tribe Signs is a furniture website, which you can go over on Tribe Signs and purchase the Happy Halloween sale that is up right now from October 22nd through November 1st. And there's tons of good sales on furniture from tables, from console desk to shoe racks, clearances, and much more. Something I wanted to let y'all know that when I checked out Tribe Sites for the first time, I have to say it is absolutely great. Love the selections that they have, especially with bookcases, vanities, computer desks, you name it. And this is something I definitely will recommend uh, anyone if you're looking for a good price on on furniture. This is it. I definitely want to go ahead and let you know about Tribe Signs. Go ahead and check it out. Next on the sponsors list is Zennies. Zennies. If you do not know about Zennies, I definitely recommend Zennies. And for one, I have the brand new ESL glasses. I've had them for now about a month. I reviewed it on my YouTube channel, so if you guys want to do that, you can take a look on the glasses, and you can go ahead and make an order. Click the link right there because I recommend it because there's days that I don't feel any strain in my eyes, and I can see well with the prescriptions. Very nice, and it does feel pretty comfortable with my studio headsets. So, guys, go ahead and make your pick. Go out and click down the link. Order yourself some Zennies, and that way, when you click on the link, you end up supporting me. Both, also, you're helping your eyes, but you are also supporting me as a content creator, as a Zennies affiliate. Go ahead, check them out, and that would be super awesome that you guys do that too. And I think I am missing one more. Nope. Looks like I have two more sponsors I wanted to mention on the show, which one I wanted to mention about Anchor. Anchor Now, for anyone that lives in the U.S., Anchor is for you. If you are someone that is looking to get a U.S. Port, what do you call it, charging ports for your phone or your Androids, so they have varieties for USB A and USB C charging ports. And one thing I liked about Anchor during the time when I've had one thing I have to say, Anchor is actually the best. I have to say I love it. When I have had it, it's cool because Anchor is something that I I like to have fast charging while I'm on the go, and it is great and something I definitely recommend anyone that's out and about. And they do have a variety of chargers out there. So if you want to, go ahead and check on the website, and it is fantastic. And last and not least, just wanted to give a good shout out to Web Hosting Pad. Web Hosting Pad is an affiliate I am currently with right now. So if you want to check out Web Hosting Pad, please give them a look out. If you're looking to open up your own website or come up with a project of your own, Web Hosting Pad is a great spot for you to check out if you are looking to host your website, a blog, anything that those sort of matters right there too. And I definitely recommend it. So go ahead, check it out. I'll have all the links down below the description. So go ahead, guys, and check it. Let's go ahead and begin the show. Let's hit it. To read on this article that I'm going to go through right now, the this is an old article I've read many years ago on Wire, and today I still have the magazine from Wire, and the front cover of this is gone. I told no one my plans, not my girlfriend, nor my parents, nor my friends. No one knew where I was going, or my new name. I left no hints. If anyone found me, it would be because of my own mistakes. And this is an article from Wire many years ago, shedding your identity in the digital age. And this was a very unique article at the time when I first read it, because now, today, you see a lot of people going through the digital age, especially a lot of people going through texting on their phones, and sharing a lot of information between their loved ones and their spouses, all that stuff too. And the scary part about anything, like especially with search engines, there's so much data collected on you, and that's one thing I've been very wary about using, like big search engines like Yahoo or Google or even Bing. It's not a search engine I would ever use, my number one, but for me, that's something I've been very careful and very skeptical on certain things about this lately. And just to read you the part of the article, where here, this man, he does this for about a month. So I'm gonna go ahead and read you this piece right here. August 13th, 6:40 p.m. I'm driving east out of San Francisco on I-80, fleeing my life under the cover of dusk. Having come to the interstate by a circuitous route full of quick turns and double backs, I'm reasonably sure that no one is following me. I keep checking the review mirror anyways. From this point on, there's no such thing as sure. Being too sure will get me caught. I had intended to flee in broad daylight, but when you are going on the lam, there are a surprising number of last-minute errands to run. This morning, I picked up a set of professional design business cards for my fake company under my fake name, James Donald Gaz. I drove to the Best Buy where I bought two prepaid cell phones with cash and then put a USB cord on my credit card. An arbitrarily dollar amount I hope would confuse investigators who would scan my bill and wonder what gadgetry I had purchased. An oil change for my car was another head fake who would think that guy about to sell his car would spend $60 at oil can Henry's. I already own a couple of prepaid phones. I left one of the new ones with my girlfriend and mailed the other to my parents, giving them an untraceable way to contact me in emergencies. I bought some just for men, beard and mustache, dye at the drugstore. My final stop was the bank to draw a 477 cashier's check. It's payment for rent on an anonymous office in Las Vegas, which is where I need to deliver the check by midday tomorrow. Crossing the Bay Bridge, I glanced back for the last nostalgic glimpse of the skyline. Then I reach over side the back cover of my cell phone and pop out the battery. A cell phone with a battery inside is a cell phone that's traceable. About 25 minutes later, as the California Department of Transportation database will record my green 1999 Honda Civic California plate for MUN 509 passes through the a toll booth on the far side of the Carzines Bridge, setting off the fast track toll device and continues eastward Lake Tahoe. What the digital trail would not reflect is that a few miles past the bridge, I pull off the road, detach to fast track, and stuff it into the duffel bag in the trunk where its signal can't be detected, nor it will note that I then double back on rural roads to I-5 and drive south through the night. Cutting east at Bakersfield, there will be no digital record that at 4 a.m. I hit Prime, Nevada, a sad little gambling town about 40 minutes from Vegas, where $15 cash gets me a room with a view and a gravel pile. Officially, it will be another 24 hours before the manhunt begins. That's when Wire's announcement of my disappearance will be posted online. It coincides with the arrival on newsstands of the September issue of the magazine, which contains a picture of mugshot like photo of me, eyes slightly vacant. The premise is simple. I try to vanish for a month and start over under a new identity. Wired readers, whoever else happens upon the chase, will try this one. To try to find me. Excuse me. The idea for the contest shared with a series of questions, foremost among them, how hard is it to vanish in the digital age? Long fascinated by stories of fake deaths, sudden disappearance, and cat and mouse games between investigators and fugitives. I signed on to write a story for Wire about people who tried to end one life and start another. People fret about privacy. But what are the consequences of giving it all up? I wondered, what can investigators glean from all the digital fingerprints we leave behind? You can be anybody you want online, sure, but can you reinvent yourself in real life? It's one thing to report on the phenomenon of people disappearing, but to really understand it, I figured that I had to try it for myself, so I decided to vanish. I would leave behind my loved ones, my home, and my name. I wasn't going off the grid, dropping out to live in a cabin. Rather, I would actually try to drop my life and pick up another. Wired offered a 5,000 bounty, 3,000 of which would come out of my own pocket to anyone who would locate me between August 15th and September 15th. Say the word fluke and take my picture. Nicholas Thompson, my editor, would have complete access to information that a private investigator hired to find me, uncover my real bank accounts, credit cards, phone records, social networking accounts, and email. I give Thompson my friends' content information so that he could conduct interviews. He would parcel out my personal details online, available to whichever amateur or professional investigator choose to hunt for me. To add a layer of intrigue, Wire hired a puzzle creators at Lone Star Games to help structure the contest. I began my planning months in advance. I let my hair and beard grow out, got a motorcycle license, and siphoned off extra cash whenever I visited an ATM, storing it in a hollowed out book. One day, over lunch, a friend from Google suggested software to hide my internet address, but all these things can be broken. He warned in how best to employ prepaid phones. I learned how to use Visa and American Express gift cards bought with cash to make untraceable purchases online. I installed a software to mask my web searches and generate a small notebook's worth of fake email addresses. I shared my plans with no one, not my girlfriend, not my parents, not my closest friends. Nobody knew the route I was taking out of town, where I was going, or my new name. Not even a hint. If I got caught, it would be my own mistakes. Friday afternoon, August 14th, I arrived in Vegas wearing a suit and sporting my normal brown hair, a beard, and a pair of rectangular tortoiseshell glasses. Carrying enough electronic equipment to buy a Radio Shack, I drive straight to a dreary two-story office complex among the strip malls on South Pecos Road and hand over the cashier's check, securing a tiny windowless office. There, I set up two laptops, flip on a webcam to track any activity in the office, and leave. At CarMax, I use auto outlet. I then sell my Civic for $3,000. The next day, the first official one of my disappearance is spent dyeing my hair in goatee jet black and locking down the security of my laptops, including a third one that I'll carry with me. At 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, the graveyard shift clerk at the Tropicana Hotel hands over my 100 cash deposit, barely looking up. If she had, she might have noticed that a man checking out of room 480, wearing a pair of oversized Harry Potter sunglasses, hazel-colored contacts, slicked back hair, and a belt with 2,000 cash hidden in an under slide pocket, bears surprisingly little resemblance to the one who checked in 2 days before. So this is a very interesting article. So we're gonna go ahead and stop right there, because I know this is a very long article I can go through and tell you the rest of this story, because I know when I first read this a long time ago, this was back December of 2009, many years ago, and nowadays you got cell phones. Everyone holds a cell phone nowadays. If it's not a cell phone, it's probably just a smartphone like Apple or Android, because not everyone carries a flip phone anymore. I would say very few people do nowadays. And now, with today's world, you type anything on Google, you type anything on big search engines, you are going to be tracked no matter what you use, because that is just simple as that too. And even in today, I have to be careful of what I use, and especially in the digital age, because you do not know Who's going to be watching your every move, especially with GPS embedded with every smartphone now, Apple and Android phones now. It's like it's almost impossible to. I wouldn't say it's almost impossible, but you can still purchase prepaid phones. Now, I would say one of the questions I say is for anyone that's listening, who is going to purchase a flip phone or a prepaid smartphone and uses physical SIM cards? Because now with smartphones you have digital SIM cards, which is basically they call it an eSIM, which most providers all over the world uses this, especially in the U.S. as well. So nowadays, you got people are still so invested into the mobile, uh, what do you call it, like the mobile phones from all these carriers right now too, because I know a lot of people they do become very engrossed in that technology alone, and you have no idea who you're gonna see. It's crazy because you're when you're going out and or you're going out using GPS. Anytime you use Google Maps, no doubt about it, you are going to be tracked and traced. That's the bottom line because people think that you're going to be safe from anything, and also that's not true because if you look at what's happened a couple years ago with the Snowden revelations, um, if you don't know who Edward Snowden is, he's basically exposed to what has happened. And now, if you carry a smartphone nowadays, it becomes pretty hard to hide your identity. Now, unless you become very good at it, and you don't review yourself too much, that's one thing as well. Now, this guy right here, and the guy I've read on the Wire issue, Running Man. So this is a very interesting piece right there. When I've read this the very first time, where he went and where the country, what parts of the United States he's gone through. Yeah, so he's been everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. So you don't even know what how many places he's gone, but I will tell you that he's pretty much gone all 48 states, and that's pretty much impressive. But today, in today's world, you've really got to know where how to hide yourself, where to um, keep yourself hidden. Unless if you use like a VPN or hide your identity. But again, if you go and purchase VPNs, of course that all comes back to if the purchasing, the trace and track from purchasing of your credit card. So your credit card company can check and find out what purchases you made. So digital purchase is not 100% private. So whatever that guy did, he's done it pretty successful, and he's done it within that month, that time frame alone. But I did enjoy that article, which it's not, like I said, it's not a very long article, but it's one of these things that it comes to mind now that you got people, they think they can hide away um, from anything, but in this case, you cannot, unless if you carry just a basic phone without any GPS or any digital technology. Now, unless if you carry like one of those old school GPSs from TomToms or Garmin, you know, maybe of course, maybe still not the secure method, but I mean, if you carry like the all-in-one smartphone in your pocket, all your information is there. Anything you type is track and trace basically, and right to disappear, which say that I do support when it comes to anyone that's trying to protect their privacy. Because I remember even back then I noticed that when Google announced a few years ago where you can actually end up taking your personal information off of um, Google searches now, and that's really interesting that they did something like that because I know that that's when a lot of people were saying, so, "Hey, I can see my name through the search engines, and how can I get rid of that too?" Now, and I've gone through the process through Google, and there is a way to do that. Because if you go onto Google or type in how do you take off your personal information on Google search engines, most likely you're able to do that. But there is one exception though. Let's just say if it's a website that wrote something about you, it was probably what that was many years ago. However, there's one exception that Google cannot do is take off the search the search information off that website. And if you want to, let's say, get your name off that website alone, you have to contact the webmaster or send an email over to the web administrator and letting them know that, hey, listen, I want my name out of this article. Can you do that? And they may or may not. They may do that or as an exception. And I remember when Google announced that was years ago. That was a very interesting move because, just because your name can be deleted off of search engines, and I can see the reason behind that is for one, um, if you are, um, let's say, a big influencer or celebrity, or if you're embarrassed by having your name out on the public, let's say if you did something to your past, then that's where Google can make up an exception to taking your name off of Google search engine, and that way there's nothing crawling on Google search engine at all, which is great. I think it's a it was a step in the right direction when I heard that news a long time ago too. One thing I have to tell you, I have to say this and emphasize is that just because something is taken out of Google, your data will be collected by so many third parties and by government agencies that collects your data. Doesn't mean you're safe and sound. And that's one thing is that your history will follow you along the way, and that's a no go. If it's not from Google that's tracking your information through crawlers, then you got archival sites that's going to be able to reveal your information. And a lot of these archival sites like what is it, Time Machine, basically a lot of these websites they will collect so many data from social media, from websites, and in fact I remember going through like phone books and so many collections of people's information, and especially my family, a friend I know in France, and it was very interesting how many people I found over the years, and just because of the use of Google and the use of so many archival websites. I think it was called Wayback Machine. Yeah, the Wayback Machine, which is very known for tracking data from back in the heyday of the '90s, and it does it takes a lot of information from older websites till now, which is great because let's say if you're trying to look for some information or on a website that was written about you one day and you didn't want that information out there, let's say if we got too public, and let's say if you're a big personality person, then I could see why a lot of people will do that and will take off that information right there. Now, if you're looking for like, let's say if you're a big star or a big celebrity, there's no escaping that for sure. Because I can tell you from Google, Google is still a very, very a big search engine today. And I would say that, yes, Google is not perfect. by all means. And because I notice a lot of these commentators, especially when they've talked about Google, and I've said this before, where Google has lost its prestige, where as a search engine, this is why I gotta bring this up because I know a lot of people will say that Google people will still think Google is the best, but today I really don't consider them the best because they have screwed up, especially their sponsored ads, and I don't mind when search engines do make money. First of all, it's a it's a website that has to make revenue some way or some form somehow. I get it. And if you're trying to post an ad, let's say if you're a furniture business, you want to get your furniture out, then you want to go ahead and post up on Google Ads, and that's why people use Google AdWords, Google Sense, AdSense for those reasons, and I understand why. Now, one thing I think Google has screwed up, especially search, the search model, what they've were once been known for, because the search has always been a big thing with Google, and you look at Google now, that's where they've seemed to screw up, especially with what type of furnitures, especially with keywords now. And you look at the state of Google. Like if you type in comfortable furnitures, you see all the images of comfort furnitures, and then you look over at comfort furnitures, and one of them of the images doesn't even look that great as well. It doesn't even represent what a comfort furniture is. And I think that's where it seems to screw up when it comes to it too, because I don't think Google is. Google is a very important search engine, and that's been around for since the late '90s. But man, they still have to work themselves up. And I remember when I was a kid, all I've used was Google all the time for game FAQs, for searching for how to build websites, and looking at other things in general. There's like a lot of information that you can get from Google from, let's say, cooking recipes, and I've did printed out good cooking recipes, which to me I give credit for Google for those things too, because you wanted to find the answers right in the tip of your fingertips. And nowadays, if you look at Google, especially with shopping, Google Shopping, I remember that was, I think it's still a thing. I just don't know if it's a thing now today. Well, let me take that back. Well, I've looked up on Google Shopping, and it looks like Google Shopping is still around today. You just have to go to google.com/shopping. It's still around. They still sell stuff like sweaters, pants, boots, space heaters, and actually it's quite appropriate they're posting this up right now, because this is the time of year where people buy space heaters during the colder season. Now, since we're in the October, that season of October, a lot of people will buy the space heaters. That's going to be very, very important in this time of year. And they do have stuff like apparel, home gardens, all that too. But I just don't think the popularity of Google Shopping is there. Now, I can see why people still use it, because that's all people have known is Google Shopping. But one of the things I've noticed when I've come down to Google Shopping, and this is something I've learned when I was studying on SEO and and shopping many years ago, where if you look at a pair of, let's say you're a lady, right, looking for like a smug midi dress, you click on the J Crew Factory website. You click on it, but then that's going to direct you right into that website alone, and that's something that that website will make some money off from all the direct links coming from you. And now if you were to click on Le Mans third floor length sleeve women's top summer loose V-neck eyelet, then you click on that link, and that's gonna direct you to Amazon.com. So that's something that Google's. I would say Google is not completely broken, but it will take you to that website. Right now, I clicked onto JCrew Factory, and they will give you the estimate of the smugged midi dress, and they'll give you the price, which is great. Now, if you are lady looking for that particular garment, and so for me as a guy, I will look at men's apparel. Men's apparel, excuse me. I'm looking for something for the season, like the Mountain Warehouse felt men 3-in-1 jacket. So that's actually cool, and they're selling this for used to be how much? Okay, used to be $80, and now it's 47.99. Okay, that's not a bad deal. But you click over here, and then on the right side, you take a good look on what the jacket looks like. Okay, loving it so far. Then you click on the website. Now Google Shopping will direct you to Mountain Warehouse. That's awesome. And something, if I ever think about buying from that website, then awesome. And now I will say that I don't even know what's the percentages or how many people use Google Shopping. I'm really not sure the if there's many people that uses that too, because it is still a good part of Google, a good aspect of Google that I like. And even though I don't use google.com/shopping to do price comparison, which I should, but nowadays you just got so many options now for price comparison and price shopping websites that I don't think people go over to Google anymore too. Now, I might be wrong. You guys can put down in the comments below what you guys think. But back into the subject right here. I would never use Google for searching anymore, because I think with the revelations, and especially with people very paranoid what they put on Google.com now, it just comes to tell you that trust of this big monolith of a website, it's like I've said, like, people do not trust that name anymore. Like, I remember years ago, like, there's been that motto with Google that says, "Don't be evil." But then you look at what Snowden has revealed about all these companies, and look what Google's done. They have done evil, and it's not great, because you want these companies to do well, and unfortunately they are not doing well as it seems to be. And also, when coming back into the Wire magazine, I've read many years ago. To me, if I had the option, I would like to. I can't say I close my Google account forever, but if I had the option, I would love to use a brand new phone, new email address, and new identity. That would be really good. It's almost like going to the Jason Bourne universe and just make yourself disappear and make yourself have a new life. Would be very extremely actually, I would say attractive, but you will definitely put yourself in a very different shoe step where once were. Again, it's like, it's crazy, but a lot of people do not want to disappear off the face of the earth, because people feel very comfortable getting their information collected. And again, who knows how that's going to change people. And I don't even think that many people will make the steps to changing for themselves, unfortunately, because people got too comfortable for the fact that they got everything in one place in that one website, or in that one domain, I should say, with Google being the all in one. And and there was a interesting interview where I've checked up on YouTube of all places. Funny enough, YouTube is part of the Google machine too. And this interview, which was very very interesting, where he points out is that OpenStreetMaps. They said that one day that's going to be used, and a lot of people will not use Google Maps anymore. So I found that to be very very interesting to see someone that comes out and say that that's um, Google Maps will be the thing of the past, and a lot of people will start using Street Maps. And I've checked OpenStreetMaps. It's very very different with uh, Google Google Maps in general. Now that's the one thing is that map OpenStreetMaps is a little bit complicated, and you will have to find out how to use Google or excuse me OpenStreetMaps and find out how to use it yourself. And because there's a learning curve to anything when you are um, going through OpenStreetMaps. Not everything's up to date, but there are still companies. From what I've understand, is that they use Google OpenStreetMaps on their website, and that's like a open source compared to Google, where Google Maps is very closed source, and you do not know if your metadata would be tracked. And of course, guess what? It is going to be tracked, and that's where I'd be careful of relying such a behemoth monopoly like Google, because uh, Google is not your friend, and you do not want to rely on such um, a company like that, especially when you want to disappear off the map. And that's where I'm just saying is that if I were to use something else, I use a different mapping system to go place to place, because I love digital maps, and I've been using GPSs since the TomTom days, where when I used to stay in the passenger seat. Well, I still do today, because I remember when my mom was like the main driver, I would go and use TomTom for road trips, and that was always reliable to use TomTom. And I would say the only cost with TomTom was the yearly updates that you receive, and you would have to connect the TomTom via the USB through to your computer and update the maps via TomTom, which was cool. And that's one of the features I liked about the TomTom. And I've remember when me and a friend of mine, this was many years ago, we went on a road trip. This was down to Florida. We were heading down to Daytona, so we had to make a last minute purchase, and went ahead and purchased the TomTom, and this was out of a American Express card that my dad lent me. So, anyways, that TomTom was so reliable. I loved it. I enjoyed it, and unfortunately, we didn't. I didn't update it. I didn't even kept up with the TomTom gadget, and I believe I sold it a few years back. So that was so reliable. I loved it too. Of course, if anyone has anything like Garmin's, I would keep that on the side in case if you don't want to be using a smartphone for your travels, which I understand. There's smartphones are now pretty much a privacy killer. It doesn't even protect your privacy unless if you use like Graphene OS on your Android phone, which I heard lots of good things about the operating system, though I don't know what mapping system Graphene OS has. I don't know if I want to experiment. But if you guys are curious enough, you can go and check up on Graphene OS and look it up for yourself and check out the options. So you can look up on any search engine of your choice. I don't know about Google because, like I said, I've been very skeptical of Google lately, and I I wouldn't even touch Google unless if I had an ad blocker, which normally if I were to use Google, it would be on or on Tor or whichever privacy browser you want to use. So, but by all means, I don't endorse um, what browser you guys want to use, but you guys can use whatever you want. But there are so many search engine privacy stuff out there you guys can use, and I would never uh, endorse anything unless if I know one search engine that I use and that's particular for me. Because I know recently, like um, DuckDuckGo has been in some scrutiny lately, which, like I've said, it I would be careful with whatever search engine you use because I know DuckDuckGo they do borrow a lot of the metadata between Google and Bing, the Bing which is Microsoft side. So I would just be very very leery about that too. So, but again, there's a lot of interesting stuff with in the open source side, which I think is going to be the future, if not the future, but the future of privacy. Because I know some point we are going to have to go and become very vigilant when it comes to privacy. Having to be careful what you type there on your phone is going to be something I would be very, very leery about. And, you know, everything is track and trace nowadays. And I know there's a lot of people that will listen and say, oh, I don't care. What's the point? I don't think I should really care about this stuff. Well, I don't know. I think you guys should care about those things because it's going to be very important to know what you're typing in because everything is traced in plain sight. So I'm not sure you want to be that guy and say, oh, what does that matter? Because for this point, everything matters. And because it would be a rookie move if you just go on to, I don't know, some explicit adult site and then one day you type into your search engine and there's going to be advertisements about, I don't know, some crazy sex toys on the side. So because honestly, there'll be no surprise if you ever get that notification. And that's one thing I will tell anybody is be very vigilant because you do not know what you're going to get when you're searching. Because honestly, I've been so smart enough not to use the big boys and all that, the big search engine companies because the more I come to realize stuff like, let's say, coming from Google, for me, however, I know people love the Google name because it's so attractive. It's such an easy name to remember. The one thing I will never own, if it comes to it, is I would say audio devices or nesting devices like Google Nest or Amazon Alexa because these little devices, even though it's convenient, people buy it for the convenience or people buy so they can listen to their favorite music with Amazon Alexa. And I've used both of them before. I have my parents own Amazon Alexa. They love that little device, and that's cool. Now I've used Alexa, and if I have to give my 2 cents, I think Amazon Alexa is very powerful. It's something I've used when I am looking for upcoming concerts and all that. For Google Nest, however, they've had so many of the features from previous where you go over with on their on Google Nest and try out, hey, Google, what's what's the concert tickets for Metallica, and they'll give you the results for the pricing of the tickets or whatever. Now, if you were to do that with Amazon Alexa, it will be much more accurate when you were to speak it to it too. Let's say if you wanted to go see your favorite like your favorite band, however, you can get that too. Or let me get an example. Like what's the biggest pop star in the war? world. Oh, I know Taylor Swift. Let's say if somebody wants to see Taylor Swift, um, Amazon Alexa is very, very accurate, and you can order it right there. Now with the Nest, I find the Nest that's how could I put it this way? The Nest is not it's not what it was. And I remember if you want to there was before they made this brand new updates with the Google Nest. And this is where I used to like it where I think back in 2018 where Google Nest you can have the options to preset your alarms where you can wake up with music. And now you can't do that with the current updates now because Google have took that feature off from Google Nest, and I don't know why they've done it, but it's quite lousy to be honest. Because if I want to let's say if I want to wake up at a certain time and make sure I can get up, get to work on time, that would be great because I like to go ahead and get up in a certain point of time and be ready for work. That's where I would like to do it. Now, if I wanted to have my alarm set up to a certain time, then I would do that on my phone. Even though it will take a little bit of time, set up my own custom ringtones, whatever, but it's not that bad. I mean, all you gotta do is make the time to do that and set your custom alarms. And I remember doing something similar to that back when I've had an old HTC Android phone, the very first one. I remember I used to customize ringtones, and I did that back in the day. That was like 2009, when I had the HTC G1. Very awesome feature. I believe you could still do that with like say contacts and alarm clocks, but I don't think you can do that with Google Nest, whatever. But either way, I come to think about it now. Is like if you were to have a Nest and if you enjoy a Nest, I don't know. I would say be wary of that because honestly, I personally like PCs and regular phones now. That having an assistant. I mean, it may sound nice, and in general, it may sound nice to have an assistant and having presets and everything like that. But all that information will be taken to Google, and that can be recorded because for one, Google are using that to, of course, improve their products and improve their services. I get it, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes when they are doing this kind of stuff too. So I'm just saying because there's a lot evil with Google that I wouldn't even want to mess with. So moving forward on that too, and coming to this episode to a conclusion, one thing I'd say with anything else is there's a heck of a lot of privacy that you will realize, especially in today's domain, today's current situation where you can't even trust, and not just a personal assistants like I mentioned, but your own phone by all means too, or even computers. Of course, when you are using Google 10 or Google 11, and now because the thing about that is that when you're downloading, let's say, if you want to have the option to not download an operating system from what, like let's say the new patches right there. There's certain patches you don't want to download. Well, unfortunately, you are forced to download it because Microsoft says so now. It's mandatory to do so, and which I have to say though, I don't like where things have headed. I definitely like the good old days with Windows XP, Windows 7. Those were the good days of computing with Microsoft, even though the open source people from the Linux side will say otherwise. But to me, there will be a point in time that I'll eventually end up using Linux, and I think Linux is a very interesting operating system to use, even though, like Linux, for example, Linux, it comes down to the distribution and what type of distributions you want. uh, because I did love using Ubuntu. Ubuntu shows how much it's powerful, how powerful it is too, and how much of that you can use uh, the CLI and the command lines to download your the applications right through the command lines, which is so awesome. And I remember using that back in the heyday, and I did use it before I ended up upgrading to Windows 7. Ubuntu, I've actually fully installed it, but man, now talking about it, I would love to have it um, as a second partition of my computer, which I would love to do it one day when I get some time around that. So, well, anyways, this has been a very interesting topic. What do you guys think about the whole thing? Would you ever go and disappear just like what the guy did, and go ahead and not let anybody know, not your boyfriend, girlfriend, parents, or friends, know about what you're doing and what's your new identity? Or would you be much more privacy concerned, at much more privacy concerned, basically? So, what is your take on that? I'd love to hear your comments. If you want to comment what I've said about in today's show, you can go ahead and comment right on YouTube, because now most of my episodes will be automatically posted via the YouTube, so you guys can go ahead and check it out, and check out what you think of today's episode, because I'm actually quite curious what you guys gotta think about this. So, with that said, everyone, have a great night, great morning, great evening, wherever you're listening to me on. Have a good one. I am out. And Leon LeGray signing off. Peace be with you. And guys, if you wanted to hear more on future episodes, be sure to subscribe to me on your podcast services of your choice. I'm on Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon, everywhere else. Be sure to check me on there, and be sure to check on future episodes.